Yeah. Good morning. Welcome to Flat Earth Early Bird number 1558. I'm your host, Arwin. And before we start the show, please don't forget to share it on any platform you deem fit. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell notification so you know when I'm going live, which is normally 1 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekdays and 2 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekend. And please also do support me through the PayPal, Patreon, and yeah, that's it. Membership system over at my main account. But I mean, I'm not going to be streaming there for a while, so anyway, PayPal and Patreon. That would be much appreciated. Alright, the weather today is glorious. Look at this. Now that's a Sunday. It's beautiful, super clear sky. Can't see a single cloud. It's a bit windy. There's no trails. The wind is a bit cold. But, I mean, yeah, it's really beautiful. But yeah, to enjoy that sun, you'll still have to like sit behind the window because the wind is it is cooling. Right, beautiful weather. Check the temperature. Right. Hey, Dr. Utker, first in chat. Good to see you. Cleary, in time for a change. Enjoy a nice sunny Sunday. Yeah, I will. Thanks. Right, let's check the temperature. I bet it's not warm. Probably like 8 degrees or something. 9 degrees. Right. And it may sort of almost freeze at night. Well, not enough to get ice on the cars, but yeah, it was a bit chilly at night. It's true. Right. So anyway, it is Sunday, the 2nd of April 2023. Hello, Moxie. Hello, Richard G. Good to see you. Right. I've been discovering something really interesting about myself physiologically. It's kind of weird that I've been basically like studying myself, like where's the tension and all that for years. Years. And I never picked up on this, which is weird because I've literally been doing this for 20 years. But I've discovered that I've like my eye muscles, like they get really tired at night, and usually I scan myself for where's tension, can I relay that? But I never really do it here, right? Like this, there's muscles behind there. And well, it seemed like there was like incredible amount of tension, literally hurting my hand and all that. It's like, what? So I've never even tried that before. It's like I've always left this alone for some reason. Leave it to naturally calm down, but that takes some time. But because, I don't know, I've just, my eyes annoy me a bit here and there. I don't know exactly even why. Well, there's maybe even a correlation with smoking. It's just not a very pleasant idea. But it's just, yeah. I'm gonna be working on that for a while and see if condition of my eyes improve. Because it is, again, I've explained it, it's like, it just gets tired. It's like, they feel like they're overly tense and it's just tiresome. But maybe if I do this, that'll kind of go away. So I'm hoping. It does feel better already today, but still there is something there. It's not like completely gone and it's like, oh, my eyes are renewed. No, it's not like that. Right. Although, yeah, visually I don't really have a problem. It's really the muscles that make you focus and all that. I think. It's muscles behind my eyes, so that's where I feel it. It's not my brain, it's really those eye muscles. Like, I've been carefully scanning it, and it was so bizarre that I could, as I was scanning it, I could literally visualize just the inside of my skull and where, yeah, the different muscle, eyeballs, and brain, and it was so weird to literally just suddenly get a really clear picture of that as I'm on myself. Weird. But it works though. Like my tension really, it's interesting by the way, because also this, is it really the brain that's like starting to nag sometimes when you get like a bit of a headache because something's annoying or something? Or is it the eye muscles? Because like the brain shouldn't be there. It should be like here, behind this point. It's like this is not behind it. It's behind it. Where's the brain? Anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's just something I'm a bit fascinated about, like how I didn't see it. Fascinatingly, it being my eyes itself, so it's, yeah, okay, I'll just stop. Right, anyway, the title for today's show is The Beaches of South Antarctica. I thought just put it in there as a reference. Not necessarily felt like talking about it, so it might change the title, but putting it out there. And hey, it's sunny. It's kind of yeah, I love when a plan comes together, even when I didn't really consciously have a plan. Right, but I've been having some email back and forth with Craig. who's also sent me a PayPal. I really appreciate that. But he's basically transcribed almost like an entire episode of mine. And it's really fascinating to read back the text. Because it's like I'm listening to myself in a way, but I'm like really seeing the words. And sometimes I have a bit of coherence problems. It's like the way it rolls out. Like I could be more fluid. But when I'm like really zoning in some idea, some virtual setting in my mind, it becomes a little bit harder to do that. Right? It's like when I'm scanning, it becomes harder to focus on being fluid. Anyway, that took some work. What are you talking about, Moxie? Oh yeah, the transcribing. It was done automatically. I don't think he typed it by hand. He probably just used the caption function and just copied, like just downloaded the file or something. I mean, I don't think but he did like go through it. And I find that very interesting. He was also talking, he apparently is carefully studying some of these shows to figure out like, why did I get a strike on that? What exactly did I say? I asked it about, I didn't expect somebody to actually do it. And so I'm like kind of thrilled. I'm really thankful that somebody's really taking that effort, doing that. That's cool. Thank you for that. And yeah, he had some interesting things to say that I couldn't just be like, oh, but you don't get it. Like, no, he was very careful with his analysis. It's like, he basically did some really serious research into like text of those shows that I got the strike for. And I'm like, wow, thank you, man. Right. Anyway, also yesterday I watched back the show that I did yesterday. It's weird. It was a really good show. It was a long show. It was a really good show. Like I was at the end like, why doesn't it go on for like another hour? It was a really great show yesterday. But this is really odd. Listening back to it, seeing it, I was kind of cranky in a way, but I didn't feel it. So yeah, I mean, listening back, especially the part with what I was talking about flatsoid, is like, man, I was kind of negative, and that kind of slipped through. So yeah, I don't know if Flatsoid even watches my shows. I have no idea. Maybe he'll just let it slide by or whatever. That's also a bit of an issue that I feel sometimes like he's numbed down and just doesn't really respond too much to things. And so maybe therefore putting it a bit overboard out there might get to him, but still, like, it didn't sound nice. It was almost like I was some kind of passive aggressiveness towards him, and that's really not the case. So that's weird. That maybe a little bit tainted the show yesterday, and then yeah. It's weird. But overall, just fluid, all these different subjects. I basically summarized a whole bunch of stuff really quickly of several different subjects, all there. So yesterday's show was great. Like, I loved watching it back, and usually I'm like, right, like, okay, I'm satisfied, that's a good enough show, but this was like great. except for that just weird sort of a negative backtone sometimes that I just didn't see. It's weird. Yes, he downloads your shows and watches them afterward later. Okay. Well, I hope that he also listens to this part then, right? Because it did sound like really negative when I was talking about it. I think it probably redirected because it's just those guys. And yesterday I didn't even get into his chat because that guy was just... It's like, oh, it's his chat. I was in there all the time. And I'm not even gonna speak up there. I mean, the guys literally sent me emails bragging how he gave me a strike. Like, I'm not gonna sit there next to that. Anyway. Right. Yes, Richard G. It is very beneficial to watch back your own material. Problem is, though, there's no way I can do that every day. Because I either don't have the time, or it's just like, I don't want to watch 2 hours of myself every freaking day. It's like too much. Because it's not just a guy, it's me. And that's like... it's a bit much. Maybe it's a bit too confronting for my consciousness. But yesterday I felt like this is a great show and I wanted to listen it back. It's like, because I also, at the end of it, I was like, wow, I talked about so much I can barely even remember everything that I talked about. But I do remember it was good. And it was. A very broad show. It almost felt like one of those... Yeah, as condensed as some of those very specific videos, like what Eric Dubay does about a specific subject, and then like it's usually a bit shorter. Well, my show is like, I was doing it like that, just verbally on the spot, for multiple subjects as condensed. So it was like really very condensed, but still, so because of the multiple subjects, it was still, yeah, a very long show. Anyway. Enough about that. If you haven't watched the show yet from yesterday, do watch it. It was great. GNM trolls, meteors, comets, and let's not talk about the current thing. Yeah. Anyway. Right. Birds bathing. Right. Also, I've been reading some more from Rudolf Steiner, and it's really blowing my mind. I thought that maybe if you guys are up for it, I could like directly translate some of it, because it is in Dutch. To attempt to read and directly translate it. But it's going to be very tough. It's not going to be like something I'm going to be doing for 15 minutes straight or something. Because it's going to be kind of tiresome. But it's so fascinating. Cleary, I don't want to talk about it. Like, seriously, it's all over, like, InfoWars and all that. Like, I don't want to talk about that, Cleary. What the hell would I even have to say about it? Right. But it's kind of interesting because I'm actually now reading from this book, The Science, trigger warning, The Science of the Secrets of the Soul. And, well, you see, I've been doing this technique, right, putting myself back in my body, as I roughly describe it. Just like your spirit, your soul, and your ether body. Ooh, another trigger. It's not the light-based ether, don't worry, right? Ether body. It's kind of esoteric. But the thing is, I'm reading now, and it's literally really descriptive about those things. And it's like blowing my mind. It's like, is that what I'm doing? Holy shit, this is so incredible. Like, so much detail into like what those things are. Like the ether body, there's a whole piece about this. I'm not even through it all, where it just starts to explain about the ether body and how it connects to like the other side of yourself. Oh man, it's just I have to figure out a way to basically translate all this in a more palpable description because but it's just magical to me, because it like the way it's described is like that's how my like that's how it is. It's just like, how is it so exactly like how I thought about it, like how it naturally formed in my mind. It's like, dude, he's reading my mind 100 years ago. It's crazy. The only issue I have really with him is like the way he talks in certain, like, but that's like almost like a nerd issue. It's like he's a certain way of thinking and talking, and I'm like a bit, that to me feels like you're a bit old sockish. You're like so fixated on describing everything in your optimal understanding frequency that it's kind of like not super flexible and understandable in that sense. And I have much more focused my frequency to be much more exactly that. So sometimes I'm like, oh, Rudolph, you're such an old sock. Sometimes. But not because of like ego old things, but just because of the way how he thinks and talks. But it's very useful. And I think that it's partially like I am even here to unleash my frequency on these teachings and make them more explicable. It's part of the reason why I exist, I think. I've heard the calling like very young. It was always weird though, because my family got into the knowledge of Rudolf Steiner and some of his teachings like a long time ago, when it was 6 or 7 or something. And then they taught me some, or basically read into it, talked to some people that were into that, like more intellectual type people, but not snobby or anything, just, yeah, those people. And some of that knowledge was kind of grafted into my education from my parents' side. But then I went to the school, and then everybody there, the kids, were all just poo-pooing the teachings that I really just took very seriously at first. But they would like bully you if you just didn't feel it was silly or lame or something. It was like really unexpected, and that kind of like made it all complicated, because on one hand it's like, yeah, the teachings are great, but these kids there, they're like all embarrassed about it, and they scoff at the teachings, really, but still you have to go through it anyway. I mean, it's part of the program, just the things you get taught about. Right? So yeah, it's been a massive influence on me, and it's just like I kind of went through that school like trying to uphold like the philosophy of the founder of it, while fighting the freaking kids there that were basically acting like grabblers would, like how you would think of that, like always undermining, ankle biting, but also just like actively trying to find weaknesses of mine and just like maximize, exploit them, while I was like really trying to do the right thing. And then it just turned into like this war, like this spiritual war between me and those kids. And those kids would like easily get others behind them, and I would not. And was extremely frustrating, and got me some really into some dark places in my mind at times, like really dark, where I was actually thinking about like killing and shit. Like, and that wasn't natural to me. It's like that's the first time I just really got that, because people were being so nasty. Anyway, right, so but it has like Rudolf Steiner himself, and even like sometimes I would have separate conversation with teachers there, and then I would be able to subtly communicate on that level. It's like coming out of the war and like being among priests that get it, and then suddenly being able to have that side of mine deployed. And even then I had amazing verbal interactions, like worldly things. Like that's also like where I first was confronted with like, yeah, there is such a thing as just like struggling with the world, and like this battle of trying to keep things stable and fixed, and it's just not just the people that surround you. Before that time, I never really thought that there was such a thing, like a noble cause almost, a strive. And I learned that through those teachers, and got really passionate about it too. But passion, yeah, even with that passion, I would still buckle in the face of those annoying little grabbler kids that would just tear that down very quickly. Right, so yeah, I mean, my youth, especially in the Waldorf school, has been very fascinating and extremely impactful on my development. Both positive and negative. It's also caused me to be kind of isolated, a loner, because yeah, it's the method in a social situation that caused that. Because when people start attacking me, I don't typically like gather other people around me to help like form a front. I would just take it very personal always, and then not basically become the odd leg out because of that. It's only really now that I feel much more connected, like with the flat earth community, you could say, and people typically, well, coming to my shows and listening and talking with me. Now I feel that I can actually, in ways, form a kind of a front. I can utilize that social dynamic now. When I was young, I could not do that. It was literally, it wasn't anything there. It's like people would tolerate me, would even think I'm interesting, but they would never like really stick up for me in those types of situations. And that was always extremely frustrating and disappointing and made me very miserable at times, because I felt like I was like cursed. And then that would aggravate it, of course, negativity spiral, then you don't get out of it. So yeah, I've had to go through all that, learn all about that. Right, and now I'm here. Anyway, hello Territ306, good to see you. George Sanford. What's the talk? I'm talking about Rudolf Steiner's teachings and my experience in the Waldorf school and how contrasting it was. And how I feel like the teachings of Rudolf Steiner are like really close to, like you could say, my destiny in a way. Because when I read it now, it's like I'm reading something that I wrote, but like wrote slightly differently as I would write it. But it's like the very subtle observations and reasoning structure that I internally have about things that I use also to explain some of the things that I talk about, right? It's all there. It's like, yeah, again, to be very specific, where did this whole conversation roll out from? I've been learning a healing technique that utilizes certain words and things you do that I don't really understand, but they still work. Which is kind of like a miracle to me. It's like, wow, this is so counterintuitive, but it works. But now I'm continuing reading a Rudolf Steiner book, and it actually explains some things about these things that I'm doing, about what that is and what it does. Like, what does the ether body do? Not light-based, not light medium. Ether body do? What does the spirit really do? What does the soul really do? And like, where is it? And it's just amazing reading it. And while I'm reading it, I just noticed like that's exactly how I pictured it to be. Like, I've already read it. Like, yeah. I mean, I'm still like having a bit of a just like this wonderment, like, how does this connect? Why is this like why did I have exactly the same insight about something when I've never read it before? Like, how does that happen? Did I read it in my dark world vision so that I would naturally come to that conclusion? Like, I don't know. Hey, Akumu virus. Hello, Zane Solo also. Welcome to my stream. Right. Also, yeah, I think I did explain is that a big chunk even of the visions, especially the early part, was also like taking place in that school, and especially outside. It's a very distinct way it looked. Trees around and all that. And like, I had some pretty intense things happening like in a school environment of that school for some reason. But it's weirder because it's like always different, right? It's like the shadow realm. It's like, yeah, it's the same building. It looks exactly the same, but then when you go certain parts of it, it's different. And sometimes it's even like something took the blueprint of my memory of it and then modified a certain spot, and that modified spot would also like look slightly different, like it's not even the same reality. Like you could have a school building and then it's like, oh, it's exactly the same, but then you go to a certain spot and then there you open a door and then the room on the other side is nothing like the real room on the other side. It looks completely different type of architecture. That sort of thing would also happen. And I had some really, really dark revelations in there, part of my visions, like some really dark, murderous secrets and shit. Scary. Because, like, that was, like, of the future. It didn't even involve me, and it's, like really freaky to experience something that had basically, has nothing to do with you, almost. But it does. But in a way that you don't understand. Freaking visions, man. It's it's all very scary when that starts happening out of nowhere. Anyway. You're not blocked on this channel. Yeah, you're not blocked on my other channel either. Akumo virus. Just don't spam up my chat, please. Right. Anyway, yeah, talking about vision stuff and about Rudolf Steiner, I don't know if any of you are really all that interested. I know some of my listeners are very interested in that. But, yeah, we can talk about something else too. It's just that I got really into this for a bit, so I wanted to put it out as an item. I'm probably gonna keep doing that, because again, this is very close to my destiny in a way. There's a lot of things here that are meant for me to do. Where is everybody? Rosicrucians? What? What do you mean? +1. Hello, Rufus. St. Hubbins. I don't know what that means. Kumu, shut the fuck up. I mention Steiner every 5th show once weekly. Okay, Terry, I didn't realize that. A vote for him. Oh, okay, Rufus. Cool. I didn't know you were interested. But yeah, sure. We can also talk a bit about the beaches of South Antarctica again. Since I'm now back on YouTube. I talked about it in the D live streams, but could do it here too. Was that on D live? Was that already? I don't know. When did I mention it? When did we talk about Amelia Earhart supposedly going there? That was on a D live stream, right? Anyway. most interesting people ever to walk the earth. Yeah, in a way. I mean, it seems like he's just an oracle. He's just channeling continually. Like, I mean, he spent a really large chunk of his life basically just writing books, or more like dictating books, like non-stop. Like, I don't know exactly, but it seems like majority of his life, there's so many freaking books. It's crazy. It's just all of his time, all just dictating books, like day after day after day after day. It's like, dude. Regions perpetually in darkness? Yeah, well, Zane Solo. The sun, that's funny that you say, reach of the sun. So you think the sun has a reach, do you? Is anybody else here in chat capable of pointing out the issue with Zane Solo's train of thinking? Before I just do it myself. I'll give you some time. Right? Now think about the reach of the sun. What is the issue here? Can anybody guess? Rudolf Steiner, Rosicrucian wisdom. Is he? Oh, okay. Sure. That's what that is? I mean, dude. That's Rosicrucian. Okay, I guess that I'm a Rosicrucian then. I've met a Rosicrucian once. Thought she was kind of attractive. But, I mean, yeah, I'm not exactly connected. Right, and back then I never really got to talking about it a lot with her. I was really more interested in, like, yeah, a relationship. Because she was really attractive, but then she's like, oh, like, I might have gotten an open relationship out of that, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna share. So, but I mean, Rosicrucians, I don't really know too much about it, but every time they do pop up somewhere, I never really get this distinct feeling like there's some darkness there or whatever. Also, there seems to be like this whole thing about Rosicrucians where it is kind of like an organization. You have to have money to be part of it, and then you like get all kinds of study material, all this stuff. So it's also a bit of a rich man's nerd club. Don't mean to be disrespectful, but it is almost a bit like a rich man's nerd club. Where it just like they got interesting things and occult and esoteric things, knowledge and shit. But I mean, I don't need to be part of that to go where I need to go. I'm getting it all from inside pretty much. So but I don't mean any disrespect to them or whatever. I do find it interesting. Ancient hermetic mysticism. Alright. That makes sense. They are a lot about hermeticism, so I have noticed that. And the mysticism, yeah, I'm not a fan of mysticism, really. I don't like secrets at all. Isn't the Rosicrucians a brand of fruit? No, I don't think so. I think it's actually the opposite. I think they were more like a competing branch. Like, but I'm not entirely sure. It might be. Dude, it's whatever. I don't really care where it came from. I just know, like, it works. And it is also very much rejected by mainstream. Like, you never hear of it. Do you? Do you ever hear of it? Through like some kind of mainstream, so you never ever hear about it through mainstream, ever. Right, anyway. First time hearing any of this. Oh, okay. Oh, modern mysticism is anti-Pauline? Where are you getting that from, Clary? That seems like quite an extremely broad-stroked statement there. Like, what do you mean, why all how would you know what all mysticism is really about? It's mysticism. How would you know? Point about mysticism is you keep it a secret. How would you know that it's all about that? Clary, you see the issue with that statement? Right, nobody's, by the way, picked up on my request earlier to say what when Zane Solo said, I think beyond the Antarctic barrier there probably are regions perpetually in darkness because the light of the sun cannot reach them. I asked, what do you think the problem with that statement is? Nobody's really responded, and then we moved on with the conversation again. A degree in metaphysics? What? Okay. Didn't know you could get that, Clary? Interesting. But what is even then considered mysticism in that sense? I mean, I don't know the categories of all the what is classified as mysticism. I just go by the root of the word. Mysticism is all about a mystery, a secret, and then people fascinated with that which they are not allowed to know. But I don't know what is all considered mysticism out there. And why would it be? Like, why would mysticism specifically be on anti-Pauline? Why is that the natural development that happens? I don't get it. Unless you're just kind of roughly suggesting that mysticism was basically all born out of opposition to Pauline Christianity, It's like, because they have been extremely theocratic in the past. So then, yeah, if you oppose that, you'd have to keep it a secret. Okay, that is basically how a lot of most secret societies have been kind of born like that. So that makes sense. But to say mysticism in itself would be automatically anti-Pauline, that is just, I don't know, it seems to be a bit of a broad stroke statement there. Can you really back that? Okay, Cleary, where are you getting that from? Apostles were taught the truth. So what is that then? Are you saying that that is in writing? Mysticism is like... Dude, you're being extremely over-specific. Like, I mean... No, that's not what I meant to say. You're misplacing it. Mysticism is not you can't handle it. That's called the truth. People can't handle the truth. Mysticism is not about it's a secret because people can't handle it. It's a secret because that's part of what mysticism system is. Keeping a secret and then enthralling people with the secret. That is mysticism. It's basically a form of priesthood. It's a format. It's not just the truth. People can't handle the truth, yes, but that doesn't make the truth mysticism. It's a kind of a reification, I feel. Okay. Okay, so you agree then, Adam? But it's just confusing because, I don't know, this is not what I heard. Like, this is not the word mysticism that I know about. Or maybe I've never really understood it then. Right. Okay, that is mysticism? Okay. Mysticism is metaphysics. Okay, well, I thought that metaphysics was metaphysics. I thought mysticism was a priesthood system where you enthrall people with a secret. Right? To revolve around that which is not available to be known, but is known by the elect. It's a format. That's what I was taught that mysticism is. But apparently it's a whole specific discipline of thinking or whatever, according to you guys. I feel there's some weird reification going on that might not be your fault or anything. It's just like, ooh, what is it again? Religion is the worship of a deity, right? That's also reification. Yeah, that is kind of the official definition. I feel that this is the same. Is mysticism? Texts for spiritual learning. Is that mysticism? Why is that mysticism? I don't get it. Isn't that just like mythology then? The light side. Yeah, whatever. The point is that this is not connecting with my understanding of what mysticism is. But apparently there's just a whole branch of thinking that is classified mysticism. Just like the definition of religion is worshipping a deity, which is ridiculous. Right? Feels like it's just some weird reification going on, but I don't know. It's gonna make things complicated. I mean, it just sounds like esoterics. Wow, okay, this is getting really convoluted now. Right, so there's basically a whole bunch of esoteric knowledge, and that is seen as mysticism. That's called mysticism, apparently. And that esoteric knowledge is anti-Pauline doctrine. Yeah, okay. Well, in that sense, I am a mystic then myself, I guess. But I mean, I always was taught that mysticism is about keeping secrets, about the mechanism of keeping secrets and creating a priesthood around that secret. It's kind of like what Scientology does. Yeah? You don't get to hear the secret knowledge until you pay, etc. I always thought that is basically a form of mysticism. Although it's more set up like, well, pay to play scheme in that sense. But I don't know, man. Maybe just for some reason I've completely got another form of mysticism in my head. I don't know. What? You believe Jesus was a real person? Well, not exactly what the book says. But I believe there definitely was a figure there. A real historical person. Or two, potentially. But as I've been saying for a long time, I think that the Bible was basically a rewritten story. Like a theater piece based on real events, kind of thing. So not mysticism. Okay. But that's weird, though. Why would that specifically not be mysticism then? But I don't get it. Sounds more like Gnosticism then. Depends if God is Jesus God. No. No man is God. Okay, Cleary. Thanks. I guess. Oh my god, it's all become so bound. Just these words and their core meaning, it's all just been put on to this group of a direction, a movement, and just put that word on like a helmet. Even though that word is basically a very I don't even know how to describe this. It just feels like, what the hell's happened with these words? Like, words have a very specific meaning, and then they just put it on like a helmet, and now it just becomes a personified thing that a very specific train of thinking, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, rough, universal insights just become grafted in word like with some contemporary thing. It's weird to me. I have to ask, no, classical homeopath, let's not do that. Right? It's like, oh, mysticism, well, it's like a thing, a conception to me. But apparently now, if you do certain things and think certain things, then you become mystic. Weird. And apparently the same goes for Gnostic, even though it's very specific conception. But if you then talk like this and think like that and believe that, now you're agnostic. It's like, yeah, but it's like, how does that connect up? Like, how is this a rough template-like concept suddenly become a movement with all this grafted in ideas? Like, how does that even work? It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how is a template concept suddenly a whole tradition of doing things in a certain way? How does it suddenly turn into like a priesthood tradition? I don't get it. It's a concept. Alright, but I mean, I'm not trying to undermine this or anything. It's taught that way. It's just so counterintuitive to me. Right? Well, you could like talk about a template concept, like how I understand it. But then every time you bring it up, people say like, no, that's not what it, look, it's this specific tradition of you believe in that and you follow this, and like, dude, what the hell? I'm talking about a template concept. But anyway, Gnostics knew they didn't have to believe. Okay. Well, I agree with that. You don't have to believe anything. You just have to know. Or not know. Right? But that doesn't mean that you can't have dreams. You can't try to stare the outcome of reality with your vision and dreams. That's separate. Right? But you don't build your foundation on something you don't know. Because to me, that is mysticism. But I guess that I have a really bizarre, non-compatible view of what mysticism is in that sense. It's just like, for me, it's like relying on a secret, relying on something that you don't know. Well, how would you do that? By believing in it or trusting it, right? Trusting in something you don't understand? I don't know. But also settling for that you won't understand. That really makes it, to me, mysticism. But I guess that my definition of mysticism is completely different from the way the rest of humanity uses the word. Is basically, well, that's not very helpful at all then. If it's just an entire field of information, well, that's another completely different approach. And now it's like a substance all of a sudden. Right? So what is it? Is it a method? Is it a religious specific tradition? Or is it a substance? I mean, Zane Solo, this is not getting less complicated here. Sometimes I wonder if mysticism is like confusing on purpose as part of because it's mysticism then. It's like, yeah, it's mysticism. The point is that it's confusing. So you leave it alone unless you get it. Okay, Cleary. But are Christians really concerned about dying, though? I mean, in the past, maybe. Or maybe I just don't get it anymore about Christians. But I mean, yeah, they're all very fascinated with like, oh, getting saved and then you get heaven after death because you converted. But I mean, is that really, they think they're always concerned just about that? About the death? No, well, there might be something to it. Right. What? Ask me? What? What are you talking about, Moxie? I never said that around the time of Jesus that they were all super tall. I mean, they probably were taller than I don't know. Right? You'd have to actually have skeletal structures, remnants, in order to, well, size up how big they are. But I don't think that in the time of Jesus everybody was particularly large. What I stated with everybody, we all descend from giants, it goes a bit back further than just like 2,000 years or however long that really was, maybe 1,000, right? Also, the decline in height is like an asymptote, so it would have like dropped significantly at first, and then it, like, the amount of shrinkage does slow down over time. That's how I believe the shrinkage of humanity is happening, right? So no, around Jesus, not everybody was twice as tall as they are now. That's not part of my train of thinking in that. That's a misrepresentation. Right? And really, I'm talking about like the average shrinkage. So there would have still been, the further you go back in time, the more still very tall people or half giants, or however you see that, they would have still been around. But that doesn't mean that everybody would have been that tall. That's not what I'm saying. Right? As people started shrinking more and more, some would stay big and then get complications because of that. That's how I really think it really, well, devolved. People are now taller than 500 years ago. Yeah, allegedly. But also 500 years ago, there was massive weaponized malnutrition happening. There was a lot of slavery. Yeah, and malnutrition prevents you from growing large. So that has nothing to do with the natural average height. It's just like, yeah, if you have an entire tribes that are just malnourished, then they will not grow as tall. Yeah, that's like an environmental influence. And if you then take away that malnutrition state, yeah, then they'll start growing bigger again. That's how that works. This is not about the shrinkage, the devolution of humans. Where are the 10-foot skeletons? Well, they LOL! Oh, okay, well, in that case, fuck off. Just there to be a bitch. Okay. Right, so yeah, 10-foot skeletons, they do exist. And there's literally still, like, articles referencing that. Like, news articles from long ago. from like the 19th century and shit. And it's been widely known, or well kept under, not like talked about widely, but it's people are caught on that the the Smithsonian Institute has been caught on multiple occasions literally destroying giant bones by throwing them in the ocean. Skeletons would be found, they would like call the press about it, then the Smithsonian would take over, and then they would literally just destroy it immediately. Okay, that's happened a lot, especially in the United States, where there's been multiple like giant grave sites found all over the place, like the red-headed giants that were really large, and their skeletons are pretty much intact in their graves. So yeah, very large giants, they've been actively erased from history on purpose, mostly thanks to the Smithsonian Institute. That's actively there to destroy evidence. Yeah, they are there to promote the false notion of evolution and destroy evidence that counters that. That's what they were there for, and that's what they have done. So you can laugh about it all you like, but that's real. That has happened, and there's still giant skeletons out there. It's just that people that find it, they don't exactly like call the news about it like that anymore, or the frickin' Smithsonian, because they know it will just be destroyed. Right, anyway. Yeah, giants. And they might still be out there. If anywhere at the north. Like, that's where they supposedly are. Right? I mean, if you just go about it logistically, it's very logical to me that at some point the giants... Any evidence of museums destroying stuff? Well, not right now, but yeah, there's you can literally look it up in the archives, old articles. There's been videos about it on YouTube, all over the place. And not just a bunch of blabber videos, videos that would actually show the articles, show the photos. Yeah, and we're talking about like around 2015 and all that, so it's not before some AI art generation bullshit. Talking about a while ago. Right, what was I going to say? Yeah, all these red-headed giant skeletons having been found in the United States, like, or, yeah, in North America, let's just say it like that. It's all over the place. Like, really all over the place. So that makes me think that the giants were still around a whole time, like a while ago, then they basically got defeated, got killed, and or feralized or something like that. They might have lost their civilization spirit. But what would it, or they might have moved away, a lot of them, the main group of them. Where would they go? Oh, okay, well, dude, I don't give a shit. If you don't like it, then just fuck off. Yeah? You can all fuck off. If you don't like what I'm talking about, then piss off. Yeah? Right. What could have happened is, well, if they are supposedly still present in the island or in the great region beyond the north, mountain range with the 4 rivers and the land beyond, and even an ocean, where they might be. Well, how would you get there? Well, through going north, Canada, and even Greenland, and then through Greenland on over the ice onto that other land, and then they stayed there. So only skeletons, graves, and all that were left behind. So they could have just done a mass migration at some point. Maybe it's like when the Europeans really started invading and shit, that they're like, okay, they're just creating war everywhere, we're gonna leave now. And they might have just all migrated at that point north, while the settlers were coming in, and like the Indian tribes were also there, and they probably lived alongside each other. And while the Indian tribes like mostly stayed and then got caught up in all the wars and shit, the giants just migrated north through Canada, through Greenland, and beyond the north. And they just left and only left the graves behind. I think that is a plausible scenario that has happened. Right? Maybe a flood. No. A flood wouldn't just leave intact graves, Richard G. I'm not talking about that they found like petrified giants. Maybe there are there. I don't know. Found graves. So it's post-flood. There's a flood. Look, when there's the flood, there's no grave in the world that can stay intact unless it's like inside of a solid rock mountain. If it's like a tomb, like when the flood happened, only tombs that are like in solid rock would have survived that. If you're in the dirt, it's all swept away. You're not gonna find it back in an intact grave. It was definitely post-flood, not pre-flood. Right, but maybe after the flood. I mean, in that sense, it's a good point, right? Maybe the flood happened, some of them survived, and then, but yeah, it didn't work anymore. I have suspicion that there was like technology that they used to keep themselves nourished, and that would have been disrupted because of the flood, and then they maybe moved north. But it could also mean that they just kind of stayed without their technology, becoming a little bit more feral, and then eventually moving north when they noticed that, yeah, the land was gonna become occupied by the human empires. Full graves wouldn't have survived. Right. No, but otherwise, it's not like, oh, they're finding a skeleton. It's like, oh, what is this? A whale skeleton? Oh no, it's a human giant. No, they don't find skeletons like that. of giants. They don't find skeletons in the middle of the dirt. Or, well, maybe sometimes that happens, but that's probably very rare then. But no, just grave sites. Large graves with large skeletons, fully intact, with red hair. Very large, and a lot of them. All over North America. Right? That can't be before the flood happened. Because that wouldn't have been there intact. Right. Yeah, maybe I'm gonna just remove that comment, and if you say there's something like that again, George, I might have to kick you out of my channel. How about that? Maybe you just don't bring that sort of thing up, especially when we're not dealing with a current event. Right? And besides, why would you need to poison people when you can just deprive them of food? Yeah, that's the whole thing, right? To control people in the past has always been to deprive them of food by rulers. And then, like, the whole social revolution and all the things changed around, and now, yeah, they poison people, poison food and all that. Usually, like, they put garbage in it. So, but in the past, that's, well, very unlikely. Maybe in certain, like, peak rich phases of certain empires, they might have had that. But they probably wouldn't even be doing that on purpose. They'd just, like, overfeed everybody and, like, too much sugar, and then people would just die from heart attacks, right? Because they stuffed themselves too much. I mean, in a way, it almost happens naturally like that. But in the past, as a population control strategy, it was always deprive them of food, because then they become weaker, they can't resist, and that's all they needed. Yeah, I know that, George Sanders, for 100 years and more. It's happened since the Industrial Revolution, pretty much. Since the Renaissance, arguably. Yeah. But not like 2,000 years ago. Because there was no... Yeah, there wasn't even enough food to do it. Right now, the issue was during the Renaissance and all that, and industrialization, especially when chemical fertilizer was discovered. Suddenly, it would become much harder to starve people, because suddenly it became really easy comparatively to get food, right? So that's when they switched tactic very overtly from starving people to just poisoning them. So most logically, it really consciously switched the policy from rulers and elites and bourgeoisie during the discovery of fertilizer. Like that. Like, that's when it really became apparent to everybody, like, oh, this is going to change everything. So we have to adapt our control policy to this. George, just spell out his name, please. Just spell out his name. Don't call him that. Or just call him Akumu. Don't address him like that, please. Anyway, hope you are all enjoying the show, by the way. I haven't really talked about the beaches of South Antarctica, but talked a lot about Rudolf Steiner, how he connects up with me. And then we talked about esoterics and mysticism and all that. What it really means and my confusion, I guess, in relation to how it's typically being used out there. It's good to work that out. And now we're talking about giants. Hope you're all enjoying it. The weather is still gorgeous out here. All right. Hey, LVA. Yeah, I was there in... Yeah, I kind of bumped into it. I didn't stay very long, though. I didn't really follow what you guys were talking about on the show. Sorry. Was it interesting, LVA Paul? Yeah, Akumu virus. Oh my god. Dude. Where would South Antarctica be if it's on a globe? Kumu, come on. Review of that case? Oh, right. Yeah, I didn't... Yeah, I saw like the sort of interview with the woman and thing, and I just like, I don't really care. Sorry. Maybe to you guys it's like really interesting. For me it's like, yeah, I mean, I could barely follow really what was even going on. And so I just left. I was rather there for the people in chat. What are you curious about, Akumu virus? Would be at the center. Yeah. If it has to be a ball, yeah. But I mean, that would be like a very small beach then. It would be more be like a pool surrounded by beach. I mean, yeah, it's not what it is though. Anyway, I'm gonna take a 2-minute break. I'll be right back. And I'm back. What's going on here? What are you doing, Moxie? Right. Okay. Oh man, it's really cold actually here. Damn. Ah. Now the sun's no longer hitting the window. It's really cold here. Oof. What are you doing? What are you posting? LVA Paul. Oh, that. Right. What are you guys talking about? Kumo virus and George. No. Right. I think I'm gonna round out the show. I mean, you guys are not exactly... This is not really discussion material. Not gonna talk about video games, thanks. Right, so somebody earlier asked, nobody responded to it. It's like more than half an hour later now. Wouldn't it be really dark beyond the anti-equator in the south because of the distance of the sun? Remember that? Remember that I asked what's wrong with that and nobody responded? Yeah, well, what's wrong with that is that who's to say that the sun isn't thing in an actual position in order to have a distance? Who's to say that if you go beyond the anti-equator, it doesn't just appear again, like on the other side. Because it's not an object, it's just the celestial light manifest. So if there is a cycle, like a maxim at the equator, and it's at its minimum at the anti-equator, then logically it would be the same on the other side. The sun is not an object in a location. It's a non-local hologram. It just manifests in this very specific cyclical way that is region bound. Yeah? It's like bound to, well, the distance between the equator and the anti-equator. So logically, if you go beyond, the sun would just reappear. Shouldn't be dark unless it's getting blocked. No, we're not talking about a globe cosmology here. Yeah, it's not dark in Antarctica because the sun gets blocked. It simply doesn't manifest at that angle. But if you go beyond, it will simply, in my opinion, be most likely to re-manifest in a consistent rate with the pattern of how the sun behaves between the equator and the anti-equator. Just start again. Further south you go. That's my prediction. You can't abandon the sun like that. Oh, you go too far away, then it's just always dark. No. That's just no. There is no distance to the sun. Right? I'll show the graph again, or the sketch. Whoa, okay, that's big. That's ridiculously big. Right, so here, this is how I see that, right? Beaches of South Antarctica would be over here. Or maybe further in, by the way. I might have, yeah, but it wouldn't really have fitted on paper. But I mean, Antarctica can be further up, or yeah, further south before it actually starts kind of thawing and all that. So, although, yeah, how much distance to the anti-equator would it have to be to really start becoming unfrozen? You know? Anyway. Dude, what the hell are you talking about? What are you blabbering about, Akumu Virus and Moxie? Like, you're just having some other conversation there. Like, what the fuck are you even talking about? The tropics, right? I believe that one of the tropics is bigger than the other. I don't exactly know what you mean by that. What do you mean bigger? You're talking about like a constellation correlation, right, with celestial zone? Like latitude. God. What? Oh God. No, Adam, that's ridiculous. On the other hand, I mean, it's all holographic and maybe, but what? I can't perfectly I don't know exactly what happens with the other planets. Maybe, yeah, if you go south enough, suddenly the sun won't be the sun anymore, and then Saturn will be the sun. I don't know, but it's not a freaking disk like that weird model. I guess I'll present it. What is that called again? It's just more disks. Alright, but you're talking about this thing. Yeah. No. It's already, like, the entire thing is a giant reification. It still suggests frickin' celestials being in literal locations. Typical disk reification. It's just no. But I don't know what'll happen with the celestial once you go beyond the anti-equator. I don't know. Right? Really suggested like this might happen, that might happen. And who knows, man, maybe the sun basically becomes like a dormant moon looking thing. And it's still following its cyclical path, but just not being lit up. And now Saturn, much smaller, might be like suddenly a super bright sun, like a super bright star or something. That would look like that. Just like a mini sun. I don't know. What is the antiquator? Well, the antiquator is the line. Why would you ask that? I have a video about that from 7 years ago. You should know that. Right. But I guess I'll present the picture again. The antiquator is the the celestial south and north opposition point to the equator. It's like where the sun is at its minimum on average. And yeah, on the ball, that's the North Pole and South Pole celestial. But yeah, on a rectangular looping, it's just a line. And that line I call the antiquator, in opposition to the equator. Alright. This is still the same picture from like 8 years ago, 7 years ago. So that. Right? I mean, I'm not joking. I have shows from Flat Earth Talks where I talk about this. I'll link you up with the freaking video. Wait, let me find that in the playlist. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, there it is. 5 years ago. Oh, okay, it's not that long, but long enough. Here it is. Dude, here it is. Here's the original show where I first brought it up. It's I don't know if it was a great show, but I was very much impressed by my own insight here. It's just a 1 hour show. Because yeah, I was talking about this when everybody was still just like, yeah, of course the Earth is a disc with a dome. Anyway. So, hope that explains, Adam. With the visual too. The same visual, by the way. Is that the one with awake souls? No, it's not the one with awake souls. The one with awake souls is called With Awake Souls. The equator runs through Central America now. Did it? Yeah. I might have, yeah, I mean, dude, it was just an improvised little map. Yeah, the equator should probably, or rather South America should be moved a little bit more north or something, I guess. Because it goes through, does it? Where's the equator in America? I thought it was like somewhere in South America, right? Goody. Right. So yeah, I didn't really have the dude, I basically improvised just the landscape. I didn't like use a map of Earth as a template for drawing that thing, okay? But I mean, the equator is close enough. It's just slightly bit more north in my drawing. Come on. Like, aren't you being a little bit nitpicky there? It's north, not south, or both. It's both. Right? Antiquator in the north, antiquator in the south. Sorry. Dude, what I drew is not a map. It's a rough attempt on a side. Dude, what the fuck are you whining about, man? It's just a sketch, a pencil sketch to quickly give you a feel of what you're looking at. It's not meant to be used for exploration in the world, okay? It's just a visual representation, for crying out loud. So it looked pretty damn accurate for a quick sketch. Yeah, I didn't trace anything for that drawing. I didn't project any map on a 3D plane and side-on view and then drew it over my pencil sketch, yeah? Thought it was pretty damn accurate. So stop being a nitpicky whiner about it. Yeah? Think you can do better? You make it. Yeah? And you use all your CGI techniques, whatever. Cool. I do pencil sketches. Yeah, I take a pencil, I take a piece of paper, then I move my hand holding the pencil, drawing shit. That's what I do. That's sort of how I was picturing it in my head. Thank you, Richard G. Yeah. That's what it is. That's what I was doing. That's what it's supposed to be. It's there to represent so you can picture it in your head. That's what it's there for. Right? Oh, okay, Clemmy, thank you. Don't worry, I'm not gonna kick you out. I just thought it was like, why are you nitpicking about that? I mean, it's not like I have like an entire virtual 3D representation of my model or anything. I'm not like a CGI artist or 3D artist like that. If you want to see an interesting attempt at a 3D model, I'd suggest you look at Square Earth Cosmology channel. It's the first one and the only one really that I've ever seen that's attempted to show a good 3D representation of the rectangular looping aspect of the realm, but he insists that there's a barrier. Yeah, he's like basically a tunnel Earth. with the firmament north and south and looping east and west. That's his model. That's how he conceives it. I am not very sure at all that there are these barriers north and south at all. But in his model, that's what he did. Wow. Is he called free energy again? What the? Or is this like his old channel? Ethereal Square. Right, so yeah, this guy has a great 3D model of it. Kind of jealous in a way, but I mean, yeah. This is a great video to demonstrate. Or, well, maybe not this one. Hold on. Where's like this one? Not particularly because of the subject, but because of the view. Hold on, let me retract that. Give you this one. Right, but yeah, again, in his model, he insists that there is no land beyond the north and the south. And that's really where the big difference is. Other than that, it's like he's done pretty astonishing research like that, and the visual representation amazing. And he also has basically attempted a model to explain the bizarreness that is the sun and its apparent. He basically assumes that the sun is like a spotlight, which is very fascinating because that's very close to being a non-local hologram in a way, although he does still assume that there is some kind of origin point. But still, the way he unrolls it, it's like not really an object in his model, and it's very astonishing. I mean, in ways you could say that this guy has done more work on my model than I have, way before I was really getting into it. But I have speculated much more about it and brought it into different directions. But he's the guy, when I bumped into that, it was like, this is it. There's something really there. Like, this is the thing that I was looking for. Hey, Steamy Traveler, you're late. Missed a really good show. What the fuck? You thought the concept originated with Subarats? No. No, it didn't. I was literally the first person to say the sun is holographic. It's like I was saying that in chats. That's like the first thing I was saying out there, and everybody just thought that it was weird that I was like Piche or something. I kept saying it, sun is holographic. Then I made this icon that I use for this account, right? Space may not be entirely linear. Looping. But first came the realization, like, the sun is not an object in a location. And it's also, by the way, displayed on a Flat Earth Talks. I have a show about it. Let me find that one. What? Oh. Globe of the Heavens. Yeah, it's actually my first... Oh god, no, my first show. Upward acceleration effect. Of course. My first show had to be right, but Globe of the Heavens. It's like my second standalone show. And the way I talk about it, it might be like really weird hearing that, by the way, now with everything that how I developed it, because back then it was just like, whoa dude, it's like 4-dimensional, and I was like really kind of hippie-ish about it, but it still stands. I mean, you could say, yeah, 4th dimensional, because like it's the freaking backdrop, man. Celestials are backdrop, they're non-local holograms. I mean, non-local hologram is a description to attempt to explain it like in physics terms, almost. But almost, not really accurately so. But like 4th dimensional would be like, okay, but why is that the way it is, right? Well, maybe 4th dimension, like maybe it might be just exactly... It might have a location. The sun might have a location in the 4th dimension. Yeah? But we experience in the 3rd dimension, so we don't see it as an object in a location. Instead, it always remains in the backdrop. So in 3D space, it doesn't have a location. In 4D space, not pseudo-Ramonian 4 space, not time-based nonsense, 4th dimension, the depth through, it might have a location. It just doesn't have a location in 3D space. That's part of the train of thinking that I was rolling out on that particular show that I just linked to. Arwinian history lesson. Yeah, a bit. But I mean, I constantly reference, right? I say like, dude, I've been talking about this for years, and I'm like bragging. Well, here's the freaking proof. Some of you may have actually dug when I said that, but now I'm just shoving it in your face. Just like, no, really, I really did talk about this way back then. If you compare what I say about it then, it's not really that much off. It really isn't. It's not like completely different. It's not like, oh, I have to completely rearrange this. The only thing that... Yeah, even with gravity it isn't, right? I mean, the way that I talked about it, that still stands. I just didn't understand what gravity really is, and I didn't understand the scientific method involvement, right? That was the issue. But the way that I described it even, it still all stands. That's all still true. It's just I didn't really understand the wider implications and the connection with physics as much. Right. Doesn't really matter who thought of it first. Yeah, it does. I thought of it first, so it matters. If I didn't, then it didn't matter, but I did. It's literally the thing I decided to come onto YouTube with. It's because of that insight that I made a YouTube account so that I could say it in chats of live streams from flat earthers. Like, that idea, Sun is holographic, is the reason I made a YouTube account. because it was my thing. It was the thing that I could feel, that I could bring up during the second wave of Flat Earth. It's like, this is the thing that I will bring to the Flat Earth community, this insight. And it might take a while, and it has taken a while. What the? Central Antonius' early conception. Yeah, he was a disker. He was a disker. He had, like, throughout his whole YouTube thing, he was always like, I'm gonna make the real map. It's just rearrange how it's the layout. He was trying to puzzle the map into the real thing for a long time. But he was always a disker, you see? He was an iso-wall man. He was a disker. Although he did have a bit of understanding, by the way, through me. I pride myself for pushing that, informing him about it, that he did have an idea there's something weird with the sun. That's why he eventually even wrote a book about it. Now, I haven't read that book, but I think that he definitely understood that the sun is not just some light bulb hanging that you can approach. I think that he had a limited understanding of its holographic nature. If I'm correct, I haven't read his book. Maybe some of you have. Maybe you could tell me. Right? Maybe he went completely different direction. Maybe he went into a reification direction in that book. I don't know. Which is from the Book of the Sun. Okay, cool. Right, so that image is basically his eventual result of what he thought that the layout of the map was. I take it then, if that's from his book. What? Yeah, OVA Paul, not exactly. I mean, in heliocentric, it's not a nuclear reactor because it's just a continually fusing ball of gas. Or fusing. It's mostly just a perpetual fusion of gas through the gravity pressing it. It's all so convoluted. Yeah. You don't get a place here. I don't give a shit about your fucking opinions. Ah. Right. Hilarious, by the way. Right, yeah, I'll share that. This is like what Antonio thought it really was like. From pressure and heat. Yeah, but how pressure? But what it would be pressing then? What is causing that pressure and heat of the gas in the vacuum of space? If not gravity. Kumu? Or, dude, you're stumbling. Don't start addressing foundational things about your model that'll completely break it apart. Don't address the issues now of the sun in the heliocentric model. Like, yeah, pressure and heat. Yeah, what causes that pressure though then? Yeah? In the middle of the vacuum of space. So what's that? Oh, that thing. Yeah. It's just another projection though. And the scale is inconsistent, right? And that's always the issue, is that like, oh, all these projections, all the maps, yeah, it's all inconsistent scale. That's the problem. That's why there is no map that is actually a direct Euclidean representation of the terrain. And that's the issue with every freaking map. It's like an unsolvable puzzle. That no matter how you project it, it'll always have scale inconsistencies. It just always does. You're screwed. Especially if you project it into a ball, by the way. Yeah, what causes fusion? Yeah. So what causes the fusion in the sun then, Akumu virus? If what you say that, oh, fusion is caused by pressure and heat, yeah. So what causes it in the sun then? Right? So don't try to maneuver away from that shit. It's nonsense. You addressed it and now you gotta face it. Yeah, if you think, like what the mainstream says, that the sun is a ball of gas that's undergoing fusion with pressure, by your own word, then what's causing that pressure in order to be able to create that fusion then? You don't need pressure. Yeah, but what's causing the pressure then? You can just say we don't need gravity. You don't even know what it is really, but the point is like, how is it getting that pressure heat then? The sun. A ball of gas in the middle of a vacuum. You can use... Yeah. Okay. Wow. Man, I've been going for 2 hours and 20 minutes. I can't believe this. But yeah, it's been a great show. You're talking about fusion. Yeah, not sun's gravity. Yeah, well, what if you say that the sun is fusion, yeah? Fusion in the sun, right? Akumovirus? Is there fusion in the sun? Or is there not fusion in the sun? According to you. Is there or isn't there? Come on then. No, not what causes. Oh my god. Yeah. So what causes the pressure in the sun then? Yeah? What causes the pressure in the sun? Ball of gas in the vacuum. You know what causes the pressure, same as the globe. Oh, what is that then? What causes that pressure then? I don't care about what it is similar, like I want to hear you say what that is that causes the pressure then. Weight. Yep. Gas go down, go boom boom. No, it doesn't. Yeah, gas can't be weighed in its natural expanded state. Can't weigh it. Doesn't weigh anything. It just expands in all directions to fill the available volume. Yeah? Weight is not gonna prevent gas from expanding into lower pressure spaces. Yeah? Not gonna prevent that. A gradient might form after the gas has spread into the available volume, and then other influences may set in like heat differentials and all that. Yeah, and a gradation can then form, but first it has to be able to expand and fill the volume, and then it can, after the word, start to gradiate. Yeah, so how does that happen with the sun then? What is it pressing on? Vacuum of space? Yeah. Gas, especially really hot gas, you know what it wants to do? It wants to spread out, expand. The heat makes it want to expand even more. Yeah. It's not gonna have weight. You won't be able to weigh it. It's just gonna explode in all directions. Where does mass disappear to when liquid to gas? It's not there. Why are you questioning where it goes? It's just not there anymore. Yeah, mass is a derived concept, and so is weight. Weight is a convention based on relative density disequilibrium within gaseous at ground level gas pressure. Right? So that the density of the gas is the offset for the object. That's called weight. Gas itself has no density differential with gas. It's not going to have weight. Weight only works in a pressurized environment where there is gas in order for that convention to work like that. Yeah, it doesn't work. Gas doesn't have weight. Weight is a convention. Yeah. Gas doesn't go down, go boom boom. It spreads out in all directions to fill the available volume. That's what gas actually does. It has no weight. might have a density differential if you contain it versus the gas that another gas that surrounds it, but it doesn't have weight. Not in that sense. You can't isolate the gas inside of a balloon and weigh it. You can weigh the balloon because its density, the rubber, will average out with the gas inside versus the gas that surrounds it all. Then there will be a relative density disequilibrium offset based on the combination of the rubber with the gas. Yeah? But the gas alone, it has no weight. It cannot be weighed. It will never register a positive number. Only the rubber will register a positive number because it's averaging out with the gas that it contains. Get it? And when that average density is still higher than the density of the gas that surrounds it, you're not going to weigh anything. The rubber's not even going to weigh anything because it's going to be less dense than it surrounds. It's going to go up, like with the helium balloon. Now, you're a pretender, clown, Akumu virus. We've been talking about this for years on a daily basis. You still regurgitate the same garbage. This is why Nathan kicked you out. You're just still regurgitating ridiculous garbage. Your stupid claim of weight for gas, it doesn't have weight. Gas doesn't have weight. Yeah? Liquid has weight. Solid has weight. Gas does not have weight. You'd have to contain it and then register an average. But the gas is basically gonna detract from the weight average with the object that contains it. And without an object, you can't even weigh gas at all. Like you can't even isolate it. It's all bullshit. Everything you're talking about is bullshit, Akumu virus. Gas does not have mass. You can't weigh it. Yeah, it's not gonna be a container. The gas is not gonna be the outer layer of a container versus a vacuum. That's not how gas works. It doesn't sit and weigh on other stuff. It pressurizes things. It presses, but it presses in all directions, not a singular direction down. It doesn't do that. Gas presses in all directions, not down. Yeah? If you put gas in a tanker, expanded gas, not pressurized in the sense that it becomes like really compressed and liquid and all that. That's different because then it's liquid, but in a gaseous state, yeah, you put it in a tanker, you can put potentially pressure sensors all over the tanker. Guess what's going to happen? Yeah, that pressure all over the tanker is going to be exactly equal. Yeah? Unless it's so pressurized that it's like starting to form liquid or whatever, and then there might be a differential. Might be a little bit more pressure at the bottom because, well, it's liquid there. And liquid does have weight. Gives extra pressure. But as a gas, it doesn't do that. The pressure is going to read equal because gas presses in all directions equally. It's not going to just press down. Doesn't do that. That's not ever been proven to do that. You can't do that with gas. It just expands in all directions. And once it has done that, then afterward you can introduce influences within a container filled with gas, and then the gas might gradiate. But not before it has expanded in all directions equally, with equal pressure in all directions, not down. All directions. And that's how gas works. Right? But you're not going to address that because you're a Kumu virus and you're a ball-tard in that sense, and you don't ever change the way you address these things. So I'm not going to spend more time on this. Explain it. Only if it's pressurized gas. Well, there is no such thing as non-pressurized gas, because gas is defined that by it pressurizing. If it is not pressurizing, it's not gas. Yeah? Gas presses. Efficiently created pressure. No, it just increases the pressure. That can definitely happen in nature. Gas can effectively become more pressurized. What the hell are you talking about? Gas we breathe isn't. Yes, it is. What the fuck? Gas is defined by pressure. How can you say that the gas we're breathing isn't pressurized? Are you out of your mind? If it's not pressurized, then how are we breathing it? If gas is not pressurized, then it isn't there. Because gas presses. When gas comes in a room where before there was a vacuum, it presses on things. There is no such thing as non-pressurized gas. That doesn't exist. Where the hell are you coming up with this nonsense? It's not pressurized. It is. All gas is pressurized. It's pressurized by itself within the available volume. It presses against the container. That's why it is gas pressure. It's pressurized. It's in a container. It presses against the container. That's why it's gas pressure. All gas pressure is pressurized. It's pressurized gas. The gas presses. That's why it's there. That's why you have gas, why you can breathe gas, because it's pressing against everything. This is really ridiculous. And I'm gonna round out the show because it's 2.5 hours. Wow. Anyway, I guess that on the more flat earth debate kind of note, I am rounding out the show. I'm definitely not gonna read more of his nonsense comments because it's getting like rumpus level idiotic here. I don't know even where he gets these crazy ass sources for his ridiculous statements. Non-pressurized gas. Yes, of course, that exists. I mean, gas is only defined by its pressure. So, of course, gas is just like, oh no, it's just a piece of gas. It's not expanding. It's just sitting there until you do something and then, pff, oh, now it expands. Oh, yes, no. Gas always expands in all directions. It's always pressing. That's why it's gas. Gas presses. It always does. If it doesn't, it's not gas. Anyway, thanks everyone for coming. I hope you liked this show. If you did, then please don't forget to Rogan's it up. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification so you know when I'm going live, which is normally 1 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekdays and 2 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekend. And please also do support me through the PayPal, Patreon, and the membership system over there, but it's not over there. So just PayPal and Patreon. That'll be much appreciated, and I can always use the support, really. So please keep it coming. Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with Flat Earth Early Bird number 1559 on a Monday, so it's going to be back to 1 p.m. Amsterdam time. Hope to see you all there. So yeah, it's going to be earlier again, right? Anyway, yeah, everybody have a nice Sunday. Hope you got it as sunny as I do. And until the next video, keep it flat.